to go over there and pray for them. She said, no, I think the Lord is indicating to me that we're going to run into them later, and we're not to do anything right now. So they left the restaurant. Later on, at about 10 o'clock at night, they were at the Mr. Toad ride, and they got off the ride, and there was an electric parade coming down Disneyland, and the woman said, I believe there's an ice cream shop on Main Street, and we're supposed to go down there. I saw a vision of this girl. We're gonna meet her in an ice cream shop on Main Street. Is there such a place? Well, the guy's jaw dropped and said, yeah, there is. And he took her to this ice cream shop. The odds of meeting this gal there were 1 in 70,000. Well, lo and behold, they're standing outside, and this girl walks in the ice cream shop, and this guy's jaw drops on the floor, and this woman goes up to her and says, excuse me, but if you don't mind, I would really like to pray for you. And this girl said, well, thank you. And she said, but you're going to have to forgive your brother first before I'm willing to pray. And this girl said, how do you know what my brother did to me? I don't want to forgive him. And she said, I saw a vision of you fighting with your little brother with sticks when you were a little girl, and he put your eye out with one of those sticks, and you've never forgiven him. Well, she starts bawling right there in the midst of the ice cream shop, uncontrollably, because she said only God could have known that. And they laid hands on this girl. She confessed her sin, and her eye was healed instantly. In fact, she went back home to Canada, and she sent a certified letter from her doctor that her eye was completely unoperative, and that it was completely well now, inexplicable medically. Now, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And now, as a result of that kind of increased expectation, we have a prayer room on Monday night where anyone can come and receive prayer. And our goal is not, we don't promise anybody anything. We promise to love and bless them. But the people who man this room have learned how to pray for the sick. And over the last 3 years, we've had a man whose eye was blinded by a grenade in Vietnam for 25 years. His eye was instantly healed. We had a Jewish woman who wasn't a believer about 8 months ago with 51 points of cancer in her body, terminally ill. The doctors had given up hope on her. She came 4 Monday nights in a row for soaking prayer. The 4th Monday night, she said, something has happened inside me. She went and to her doctor for x-rays later that week, and the cancer was completely gone in her body. Now, how this has manifested itself in me is I've begun reading books on this, and I've begun to start stepping out, practicing praying for the sick, and it's been really exciting and letting God speak to me. And so those are some of the examples I'm talking about.
Well, Dr. Moreland, thank you so much for sharing this and being so personal with us in so many ways and the illustrations that you have given. We are now moving to the segment of our program where we are going to ask you, the audience, to jump up to the mic or send me a question through instant message, and I will get up to the mic in your stead vicariously for you and ask your question. Please, you can raise your hand if this is your first time here. You have to have a microphone. So if you don't have a microphone, please don't raise your hand. Just send me the message in a text. If you have a microphone, raise your hand and I will call on you one at a time. Now, let me tell you something else. I am sure that every one of you all have lots of really, really good things to say, and I'm sure that you could probably be tested and shown to have the gift of teaching, but this is not the time. This is the time for questions. We must honor the time of our guest and the time of everybody who is in this room. So it's not like the normal Pal Talk rooms where you get up and share your mind. This is a question, so keep it to a question. First question comes from Richard Sugg. Get up here, Richard, and I just warn you about this guy, Richard. He is very problematic, but we will go ahead and test with him.
I'll try to behave. Dr. Moreland, first, thank you very much for coming on. I've appreciated so much your book, Love Your God. Love Your God with All Your Mind. I've used it in Sunday school, and it's been very influential on me. The question I have is, you would comment on the wisdom model. Gary Friesen wrote a book, gosh, it escaped me now, Decision Making in the Will of God, and your good friend Greg Kokel has also adopted the wisdom model. And I know where you stand on it from what you just said, because your experience has shown you that God does speak in a very direct way. But would you comment on the wisdom model, and how do you respond to something like that?
Yeah, thank you, Richard. I think the wisdom model is so important and is so fundamental and rich that I think it's one of the two fundamental approaches to walking with God that we should have. I think Dallas Willard's book, Hearing God, provides a very helpful what I would call extending beyond the wisdom model, though incorporating it. So I think that biblical wisdom and just discerning the wisdom of Scripture is the fundamental thing that's got to be in place before hearing the more specific guidance of God can be more trusted. But I do think ancient Near Eastern literature was written to teach, especially historical narrative. It was written to teach theology and ethics, and it was actually to teach what communities were, the values in the life of communities. And so you have Apollonius of Tyana, who was an alleged a miracle worker after Jesus, and followers wrote accounts of his life, not just to chronicle what he did, but to shape the values of the followers who went after him. So we find that the Bible is overwhelmingly historical narrative, and the reason for that is that the Old Testament and the New Testament historical books are not simply trying to describe what happened, though they do that, but they're also there to give models of an interactive relationship with God in the community. And so I think that what we find, the way God interacts with people, is the way that he means to interact with people throughout church history. So I believe that it is a misunderstanding of those historical books and why they were written, especially in ancient Near East, to say otherwise. Those books were written rather than just listing didactical passages. They were teaching how to walk with God, what a relationship with God looks like individually and in the community, and how an interactive life in the kingdom looks like. And so I take the wisdom model not to be capable of explaining this broader understanding of the point of historical narrative in Scripture. And Greg Kokel and I have had conversations about this, and I must say that he really doesn't hold the wisdom model the way perhaps Friesen would. He believes God speaks today from all the way from impressions and just general guidance all the way to words of knowledge and things like that. We've talked about that. His concern is this message a minute approach and abuses of it, which I completely concur with. So my approach to life is that I seek to stay in communion with God with an open heart. When I get up in the morning, I open my heart and say, Lord, I'm here. Do what you want with me. But then I go about my day with wisdom, and I'm always willing to let the Lord redirect me, but I'm not looking for a message a minute. I guess, so it's a both and for me.
Thanks, Dr. Moreland. Next we've got Clay. Clay, good to see you. Clay is one of the theology program students. Theology program can be found at reclaimingthemind.org, and Clay has been with us all the way close from the beginning. I think he just has one more class left to take. Go ahead, Clay. Clay, I didn't get you, just a buzz, so you might check. It sounded almost like you had the plug in the wrong place, but check that real quick and jump up to the mic again. Carrie, hold up just one moment. Okay, until Clay gets that corrected, let Carrie jump up to the mic. Then I've got a question from some of these IMs.
Thank you, Michael. And Dr. Moreland, thank you for being here tonight and taking time out of your schedule. It has just been, it's a wonderful session tonight, and we appreciate your being here. We've had a blog series at the Reclaiming the Mind blog, and a question that's been posed is, why does God not heal amputees? For those who would hold a continuationist position, what would be a good way to